Vicki Johnson. I can give you her phone number if she wants. She's given me a lot of data and facts. And so I hope to bring them back for you to use in your decision-making process. First of all, Pathways has 65 acres of land. Pathways has homes and a big house, they call it. It has 38 homes that are spread out. They're 2- and 3-bedroom homes with attached garages, a couple of bathrooms, all brick. In the big house, they have 2 areas facilities. They have 180 apartments that are 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments. And they have a nursing facility that's pretty much like a hospital. She showed it to me, which is rehab, nursing care, and a special area for dementia patients. The homes currently are complete maxity, and they have 78 residents in them. The big house, out of the 2 areas, have 447 people. There are 6 vacancies for apartments, and there are beds available for rehab. So there's a total people right now, and they're probably maxed out at Pathways at 525 people. Now this is the last thing I asked her, and I had to ask her twice because I didn't believe it. And I think it's very important that you pay attention to this part. I asked her how many employees they have. They have over 400 employees. That's almost a 1-to-1 relationship between patients and employees. I told her, how does over 400 people? She said, understand, we are a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day, 365-a-day, high-maintenance business. We might be a retirement facilities, but we're a business. She said, that's not counting the over 100 trucks that come in here and out of here for deliveries and supporting. So this is a business committee, a big business. Those are all facts, and you can call up Ms. Johnson, I have her number, if you dispute any of those facts. The last thing I'd like to ask is, I have 3 questions, and they're basically yes and no questions. I don't want an answer tonight, but I'd like to know if that next month is possible. The first question is, do you have a timeline of major events related to this proposal, and when that timeline, what things are supposed to happen on that timeline? If the answer is yes, my next question would be, could we see it? If the answer is no, my third question would be, will you make one? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How many beds were in the nursing facility there? There were 180 apartments, Mr. Chairman, he noted, but he didn't note how many beds were in the nursing facility.
I got that answer.
And that's a very important number.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood of 280.
If you have 500 plus.
They have 200 beds in the nursing facility.
200 beds?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, great, thanks. Yes, please.
Hello, Commissioner. My name is Susan Lewandowski, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. I'm a newbie to the area, only been here 1.5 years, and one of the reasons I moved here is specifically for the rural environment. We had a home in Birmingham, said no, moved to Oakland Township for rural environment. Next thing I know, this development has been proposed. My concern is regarding the traffic studies. I'm a medical professional who's had over 20 years in nursing. I've also handled catastrophic automobile accident claims. The traffic study does not address ambulance runs and what impact that will have on the widening of the road. What I mean by that is the demographic that the developer is seeking to attract is a high-risk population. They're a high-risk population because of their age and also their health concerns. And also, if he goes ahead with the assisted living facility, I don't know how educated people are about the type of client that's in that, but they are physically impaired, they can be mentally impaired, they can be wheelchair bound, they can be immobile. By that very nature, those people tend to have more URIs, more UTIs, more mobility issues, and under the Michigan law, they need at least one person to assist them at all times for mobility. Accidents happen. I've worked in these type of facilities. People fall. And my concern is this. The elderly or this demographic tend to have the most accidents in the morning. Mainly when our traffic would be most congested, mainly when we're taking our children to school. I have handled many claims where there's been an ambulance racing down the road and someone has been hit. So my concern is this. The traffic study is all well and good for the day studies and the day trips and whatever, but nothing was ever addressed about the impact that scenario that I just gave you could have and the necessity it would have on widening the road. Who would cover that cost? And has the township looked into their liability if they've been made aware of this potential issue and does nothing about it? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any more hands. Oh, there's one. Here.
Just a quick one there. Hi, my name is John Giangelo. I live at 5846 Murfield Drive. Just a couple questions here. I'm going to quote some comments out of the Oakland Township patch. I assume they're accurate. It's about a Simca study. I assume all the board members have seen it, where it identifies the two most dangerous intersections in Oakland Township. If you haven't, I'll send it. I just assume everyone was aware of it. Number one is Adams and Dutton, most dangerous intersection. Number two most dangerous intersection, Adams and Silver Bell Road. Not a coincidence, okay? Regardless of what might have gone in that section there, I think really, as a planning commission, you need to consider approving anything going in that corner. It's already, that section is already the most dangerous intersection in that 1 mile stretch that we have in Oakland Township, and we're going to put more in there. So please take into consideration. What we're doing is comparing it, it's bad, it's going to get worse, but it might not be quite as worse as it was before. Let's look at where the hell we're at, where the heck we're at today. The other thing I did want to mention as well, just briefly, is I think we really, we're not against, senior housing. I think when you look at this, it's the density and, quite frankly, as the gentleman put it before, the big house. That really increases the density, as we just heard again, potentially ambulance runs and what have you. And I think that's a real concern is the big house there. When you look at it, that is not going to me, that's going to be a for-profit business, 24/7. Again, as somebody else pointed out, and I don't think we want that type of operation in a heavy residential area. Quite frankly, I don't know how many acreage we had. They took the boards down here at Lost Lake. That's where we ought to be putting residents, senior residents, where they can go on walkways, have places they could go, things they could see. It's great for young kids. It's also great for older people. Not in the middle of a high traffic intersection, high density commercial, residential area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Okay, I would like to take a whack at answering some. Really? Mr. Cerna? You're the last one.
I'll be brief, Mr. Chairman and Commission. In my letter to the Commission dated the 28th of December, I really tried to summarize for the Commission the bigger picture. We can get bogged down in looking at tables and details about specific things. We could dispute whether they're accurate or been flavored one way only, but that's not the issue. We've all been talking here about the character of our township, the rural character, the nature of our bedroom community, and this corner of Adams and Dutton as a entryway to our township with totally single-family houses around it, one church, a school. This will be a duplexed rental development of 282 rental units. I don't like to say it this way, but it's a fair thing to say, masquerading as a senior development by deed and PRRO as a business, a very intense business. I don't think this is what you as authors of the master plan 5 and 6 years ago intended when you looked at this location as a senior development to retain Oakland Township seniors. I asked the township in my letter, the Planning Commission in my letter, to step back from this Blossom Ridge developer proposal. He has every right to propose something like this. I would if I was in his business, quite honestly. There are no guidelines from our township as to what he should propose. I think we have an obligation to step back and study, and in a forum, an open forum, what we really want for senior development in our township and at this location. That would make it tremendously easier for any developer to make a proposal that's in sync with that. The master plan is not flawed, but it's deficient in having this few sentences of global wish list of what we should do here, and not giving those owners of property that would like a revision of the zoning law to allow them to use this property, fulfilling it, to give them better guidance to what we really want in our township. I respectively request that we as a planning commission step back and look at the big picture as to what is in our best interest for the next 20 to 40 years. Because this will be a significant movement of our township down a path that we can never move back from. And that's all I ask, and that's really the thrust, to look at the big picture before we approve or disapprove a developer's application. We don't have a good definition yet, what we really want as a township. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. It sounds like you would be a willing volunteer if we had a focus group for, you don't have to, I know, it's a rhetorical question.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You and Mr. Plus, that's a rhetorical question, by the way. I would like to address some of these and then get back to our deliberations on the Planning Commission. Frank asked about the impact of 50 new homes in the Kings Ridge, I think.
I'm not sure. I just need a clarification as to whether they were part of Kings Ridge. Maybe they're part of Blossom Ridge, for all I know. I don't know.
I can assure you they're not part of Blossom Ridge. They may be part of a lot of other things, but they're not part of this.
There's site availabilities now, and I wish the best for Mr. Moseri on that. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. When the professional traffic engineers conduct their traffic study, they take into account a number of criteria. They take into account the standards that are used for such studies. They're not standards that are just for this community. They apply across a much broader spectrum. They take into account the type of development being proposed and the number of units and so on and so forth. They take into account what is in the existing area. One of the pieces that is considered would be the counts taken in a sample set. That's only one of the pieces, not the only criteria that is used. I can't tell you, maybe somebody else here can, maybe the applicant or Mr. Nixon can address whether the 50 most recently built or under construction homes are incorporated in that.
Basically, what they do as part of a traffic study, and it's very clear the current study that's we have, is they have made a projection into the future additional traffic, which includes not only those 50 homes, but the natural growth that we see within that corridor of additional traffic occurring in the corridor. So yes, they have included those existing homes that are under construction or may be under construction. This proposed project, if it were constructed, plus additional traffic that's going to travel on Adams and Dutton roads over the next 10 years,
Well,
whatever the planning period.
My other question would be that if they took that into account in terms of a projection, the original plan for this area called for X number of individual homes to be built there, and what Mr. Messeri is attempting to do is to revise that into something else. So are you saying then that the, I don't know, 50 or 60 homes that were to be planted in the Blossom Ridge area as single-family homes